North Korea is once again claiming the world's attention after setting off an underground nuclear device, firing short-range missiles and declaring it has abandoned its truce with South Korea that ended the Korean War. Ramping up tensions across the region, it's also withdrawn from the six-party talks and threatened its neighbours with merciless punishment and all-out war. I'm Taimur Nabili. In this edition of 101 East, we ask, what's next for North Korea? State media call him a brilliant statesman, a political and military genius, and they claim a double rainbow appeared at his birth. Kim Jong-il, like his father before him, has relied on encouraging a cult of personality to help him maintain a tight grip on power. But now questions are being raised about his health and consequently about the country's future. Howell Davis reports.
The vast choreographed parades of North Korea. A lone North Korean woman on the streets of Seoul. Two sides of a secretive, impoverished and repressive regime.
From
when I was young in North Korea, I was educated and brainwashed that Kim Jong-il was the supreme general and the nation's father. But after repeatedly talking to South Koreans, I realized we have been cheated all our lives. We still referred to him as the general, as our father, and said he was sent from heaven. But we live such miserable lives.
This young woman fled North Korea in 2006. We can't use her real name. Her face and voice are disguised in case of reprisals against her relatives. The country she lives in fear of is run by Kim Jong-il, officially known as the Dear Leader. He came to power after the death in 1994 of the great leader, Kim Il-sung, his own father. Both men espouse an ideology of juche, which promotes economic self-sufficiency. It's been a staggering failure. North Korea has one of the lowest per capita incomes in the world. In the mid-1990s, the country's inability to feed itself led to up to 3.5 million people dying of starvation. Today, there are tentative signs of a minor economic revival, ruling out famine this year. But the World Food Programme still warns that 6 million people, out of a population of 23 million, currently need food aid. Experts like Kumin University's Andrei Lankov says that appears to be of little concern to North Korea's leadership.
The population consists of hereditary classes, and it's very difficult to move upward. Possible, but difficult. The top elite, their mentality is somewhat similar to the mentality of the feudal leadership of, say, medieval Europe. They don't really care, for example, about survival of the population.
Such attitudes mean sanctions on the government are unlikely to succeed. North Korea caused international outrage after Pyongyang launched a long-range rocket in April. It then carried out a nuclear test, a direct contravention of an international ban. It followed that with further military action, testing short-range missiles. Even the country's staunchest ally, China, agreed to new UN sanctions. All this has left many South Koreans fearful that war may be imminent.
North Korea's aggressive actions have made us here in the South feel more and more nervous. They have made us feel insecure and anxious.
I'm nervous. People talk about war, so I'm worried.
As a South Korean, I am very worried about the current situation. As the relations have worsened, I'm scared that war might be a possibility.
North Korea has indulged in nuclear brinkmanship before, raising tensions and wringing concessions from South Korea and the United States. But this time, experts say, it's different.
There seem to be some other dimensions in the crisis, because North Korean provocation this time is unusually intense. It's essentially a bit too high-pitched, I would say, for the normal message. What is clear that Kim Jong-il's health is deteriorating.
Andrei Lankov warns that speculation about North Korean politics is often futile, with reliable information almost impossible to come by. But it's undeniable that recent TV pictures of Kim Jong-il show a marked deterioration in his health, with the latest rumours claiming he's suffering from pancreatic cancer. There has been speculation that his youngest son, 26-year-old Kim Jong-un, might succeed him. Little is known about him, and few images of him exist. But for some South Korean experts, including those with close contacts in the north, the situation is still fluid and dangerous.
김정일 위원장은 좀 오래 살았으면 좋겠다.
I personally hope that Kim Jong-il lives a long time. If he dies soon, North Korea's leadership structure is not yet ready, and this will bring about substantial chaos and a possible Chinese military invasion.
The threat of a chaotic, uncertain end to the regime in North Korea is particularly worrying due to its stock of nuclear devices. But such weapons may not be enough to save the regime. Defectors describe a government system that's crumbling, its credibility dissolving away.
Our thinking has changed. People in Pyongyang may have faith still, but most of us, our brainwashing has gone. The people at the border realize that China and South Korea live happily, and we are the only ones left out.
And it's that feeling that North Korea has nothing to offer its own people that may do more than sanctions or military pressure to finally end the hereditary dictatorship of the Kim family.
Well, to discuss the current situation in North Korea, I'm joined from New York by the author and columnist Gordon Chang, and from Canberra by Dr. Leonard Petrov, a Korean Studies lecturer at the University of Sydney. Gentlemen, thank you both for being with me. Gordon Chang, let me begin with you. We heard Andrei Lankov there saying this time it's different. But, you know, we've been hearing this for 40 years. The CIA have been telling us that war is imminent on the Korean peninsula. Should we be more scared now?
I think we should be more concerned because obviously North Korea is headed towards a leadership transition. When we look at the pictures of Kim Jong-il from April 9th and July 8th, they show a marked deterioration. Kim has lost weight, and more ominously, he's lost hair. It may not be pancreatic cancer, but clearly something is killing him.
Okay.
So it's really, I think, clearly it's going to be a leadership transition soon.
I wouldn't say losing hair is necessarily a sign of illness, but should we be afraid of one nuclear test and a very, very dodgy capacity to deliver a warhead?
Well, North Korea does not have the capacity right now to deliver a nuclear warhead accurately, but clearly they've been making great strides in, first of all, developing the warheads themselves, but also the missiles. So perhaps 5 to 7 years, they will have a long-range missile, and they will have a warhead on top of it, and it will be accurate. And that means that he could hold the United States, the rest of the international system, to ransom.
Leonid Petrov, are we hearing here echoes of so many familiar and yet unsubstantiated threats? We heard it from the Soviet Union, which did have not only the nuclear capacity, but the ability to believe it. We heard it about Iraq, we're hearing it about Iran. Is this really the right way to be looking at North Korea?
Well, we shouldn't compare North Korea with the Soviet Union, one of the major nuclear powers of the past and the present. But looking at the Iraqi experience, I think that Kim Jong-il has learned a good lesson from basically what happened to Saddam Hussein. It was Saddam Hussein who was insisting that he did not have nuclear weapons or any other weapons of mass destruction. Saddam Hussein allowed international inspectors into the country, and after that, when the international community verified that there was no weapons of mass destruction, Iraq was attacked, Saddam Hussein was caught and executed. Kim Jong-il does not want to repeat this pitiful destiny. That is why he is playing the bluffing game.
The reference to the Soviet Union, though, is illustrative because it highlights the fact that a containment policy can work over the long term and doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be quite so aggressive as some are saying we should be towards North Korea.
I would not suggest that we have to believe everything what North Korea says, because North Korea is a small, impoverished, cornered state without much future. North Korea has the only trump card in its sleeve. It is the nuclear weapons, and with this only factor, nuclear factor, it's tried to buy some time for survival. I don't think North Korea will survive much longer with nuclear weapons, but at least it will guarantee and give some sense of security to the North Korean regime if they claim that they have nuclear weapons, and if the international community at least demonstrates that they trust them and they give them security assurance for not attacking North Korea.
All right, Gordon Chang, I'll give you a chance to respond to that in just a minute. I know you want to talk about that, but we're just going to have to take a quick break first. When we come back, we'll talk about not only the succession in North Korea, but also hear from one man who has devoted his life to helping North Koreans defect. Stay with us.